Before Brooklyn became a backdrop for prestige television, Saturday Night Fever turned it into a world of paint stores, kitchen tables, bridges, and one crowded dance floor where nothing else mattered. A young man with a dead-end job spends his week waiting for Saturday night until the neighborhood he loves starts closing in around him. With Tony's restless ambition, Stephanie's borrowed sophistication, Annette's hopeless devotion, and Bobby C's quiet desperation, the film became a classic that still defines an entire decade. This is Saturday Night Fever, then and now. Double J brings noise, swagger, and reckless energy into Tony's crew, played by Paul Pape. He was in his mid-20s when the film was released in 1977. Double J worked because he was the loudest voice in a group that never stopped talking. He pushed, he provoked, he escalated, and he made the crew feel dangerous rather than harmless. In a film about young men with nothing to do, Double J represents the way boredom turns into aggression when nobody is watching. Pape plays him with restless physical energy, filling every scene with movement and volume. What makes his story remarkable is where it began. Pape was working as a doorman at a New York jazz club when he auditioned for Saturday Night Fever. It was the first feature film he had ever tried out for, and he got the part. Afterward, he worked steadily in television before finding his real calling in the 1990s as a voice actor. He has logged more than 8,000 voice credits across film, animation, and games, including recent work in Kung Fu Panda 4 and the Smurfs film. He also runs his own production company. Double J endures because Pape made swagger loud, restless, and impossible to ignore. Joey is another member of Tony's crew, part of the group whose loyalty slowly turns into something uglier, played by Joseph Cali. Joey worked because the film never let the crew stay likable. They begin as friends who joke and drive around and defend each other, and by the end, they have done real damage to the people closest to them. Joey is the one who pushes hardest in those final scenes, and Cali plays him without softening anything, which is exactly what the story needed. In a film often remembered for its dancing, Joey is a reminder that the movie was always about young men with no direction and no one to stop them. Cali continued acting for more than 2 decades, starring in the ABC crime drama Today's FBI and appearing in The Competition and The Lonely Lady. He later stepped away from acting and built a home theater and systems design business in Los Angeles. He is married to the recording artist Lori Lieberman. Joey endures because Cali made loyalty feel narrow, dangerous, and painfully believable. Gus is the member of the crew whose beating sets the film's worst night in motion, played by Bruce Ornstein, born in 1957 in the United States. He was 20 when the film was released in 1977. Gus worked because his story turns the crew's whole code inside out. He is attacked, the group goes looking for revenge on a rival gang, and only afterward does Gus admit he is not certain it was them at all. By then, the damage is done. Ornstein plays him with a wounded uncertainty, making Gus feel like a young man who says what people want to hear because he cannot face the alternative. His role is smaller, but it carries one of the film's hardest lessons about how easily anger finds the wrong target. Beyond Saturday Night Fever, Bruce Ornstein moved behind the camera and into teaching. He wrote and directed the film Jack and His Friends starring Sam Rockwell, co-wrote and directed the award-winning independent film Vampirifica in 2012, founded the Bruce Ornstein Acting Workshop, and became an adjunct professor in the Columbia University Film Program. Gus endures because Ornstein made weakness honest, human, and quietly devastating. Doreen is one of the smallest roles in Saturday Night Fever, and one of the most memorable, played by Denny Dillon, born on May 18, 1951 in Cleveland, Ohio. She was 26 when the film was released in 1977. Doreen worked because she shows what Tony Manero looks like from the outside. She is the girl who nervously asks to wipe the sweat from his forehead, tells him how much she loves watching him dance, and then holds on far too tightly when he finally gives her a turn on the floor. In 90 seconds, Dillon builds a complete person. Her nervous energy and comic timing came from real experience, as she had already worked on Broadway before this was ever filmed. 3 years later, Dillon took on one of the hardest jobs in American television, joining Saturday Night Live for its troubled 6th season after the original cast departed. Most of that cast was gone within months. She lasted the entire season alongside Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo. She later earned a Tony nomination, starred as Toby Petalby for 6 seasons on the HBO series Dream On, and more recently appeared in the Apple TV series Servant. Today, she is 75. Doreen endures because Dillon made a tiny part feel eager, awkward, and completely alive. Connie appears for less than a minute in Saturday Night Fever, and she became one of the most famous faces to come out of it, played by Fran Drescher, born on September 30th, 1957 in Queens, New York. She was 20 when the film was released in 1977. Connie worked because she cut straight through the swagger. She walks up to Tony Manero on the dance floor, asks whether he is as good in bed as he is out there, and does not wait for permission. In a film full of young men performing confidence, she is the one person who is genuinely unbothered. It was Drescher's very first film role, and everything else came after. She spent the following decades becoming one of the most recognizable performers in American television, leading The Nanny for 6 seasons and starring in The Beautician and the Beast, along with voice work in the Hotel Transylvania films. She later moved into something bigger than acting, serving as president of SAG-AFTRA from 2021 to 2025 and leading the union through the 2023 strike. She was recently honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She has also told the story of running into Travolta years later and repeating her famous line back to him. Today, she is 68. Connie endures because Drescher made one line sharp, funny, and the beginning of everything. Frank Manero Jr. is Tony's older brother, the priest, and the pride of the family, played by Martin Shakar, born on January 1, 1940 in Detroit, Michigan. He was 37 when the film was released in 1977. Frank Jr. worked because he is the one character who has already lived out what everybody wants from Tony. He did the respectable thing. He made his parents proud, and then he comes home and quietly admits that he only ever became a priest because it was expected of him, and that he is leaving. Shakar plays the scene with exhaustion rather than drama, which is what makes it land. It is the moment that gives Tony permission to want something different, and it is the emotional center of the Manero house. Beyond Saturday Night Fever, Martin Shakar built a long career as a serious stage actor and a life member of the Actors Studio, working on and off Broadway for decades while appearing in films including The Children and Uptown Girls, and on television in The Equalizer and Law & Order. Today, he is 86. Frank Jr. endures because Shakar made disappointment gentle, honest, and quietly freeing. Flo Manero is Tony's mother, anxious, devout, and permanently disappointed, played by Julie Bovasso, born on August 1, 1930 in Brooklyn, New York. She was 47 when the film was released in 1977. Flo worked because she is the sound of the house. She worries out loud, she compares her sons, she reaches for the church when nothing else is working, and she has no idea how to speak to either of her children. Bovasso plays her with a sharpness that never tips into caricature, keeping Flo recognizable to anyone who grew up in a home like that. She reprised the role in the 1983 sequel, Staying Alive. Bovasso was far more than a character actress. She was a genuine force in experimental theater, writing and directing her own work, and later became a respected acting and dialogue coach. She also appeared alongside Cher in Moonstruck, and on television in Miami Vice and Cagney and Lacey. Julie Bovasso passed away on September 14, 1991 at the age of 61 from cancer. Flo endures because Bovasso made worry loud, familiar, and painfully close to home. Frank Manero Sr. is the out-of-work father whose temper sets the mood of the entire house, played by Val Bisoglio, born on May 7, 1926 in New York City. He was 51 when the film was released in 1977. Frank Sr. worked because his anger is never really about his sons. He has lost his job, his standing, and his sense of himself, and everything he says at that dinner table is coming from somewhere else. Bisoglio plays him with a bristling frustration that makes the whole family feel like it is one wrong word away from an argument. He was already a veteran of stage and screen by 1977, and he went on to become a series regular as Danny Tovo on Quincy M.E. for 7 years before later appearing in The Sopranos. Val Bisoglio passed away in 2021 at his home in California at the age of 95. Having lived with late-onset Lewy body dementia, Frank Sr. endures because Bisoglio made bitterness ordinary, exhausting, and heartbreakingly recognizable. Annette is the girl who loves Tony Manero and gets nothing back, played by Donna Pescow, born on March 24, 1954 in Brooklyn, New York. She was 23 when the film was released in 1977. Annette worked because she is the person the film is quietly about. She wants Tony, she is used as a dance partner, and then set aside, and in the final act, she is failed by every single person around her, including the friends she trusted. The film does not soften what happens to her, and it does not let the audience look away from it. Pescow was 23 and almost entirely new to film, and what she does with the part is the finest work in the picture. She refuses to make Annette pathetic. She makes her a young woman who wanted to be chosen and was not. Beyond Saturday Night Fever, Donna Pescow was in enormous demand. She led her own ABC sitcom, Angie, from 1979, played Dr. Lynn Carson on All My Children in a landmark role, starred in Out of This World, and became familiar to a much younger audience as Eileen Stevens on the Disney series Even Stevens. She has since taught at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and the Lee Strasberg Institute. Today, she is 72. Annette endures because Pescow made longing raw, dignified, and impossible to forget. Bobby C. is the youngest of Tony's crew and the one nobody listens to, played by Barry Miller, born on February 6, 1958 in Los Angeles, California. He was 19 when the film was released in 1977. Bobby C. worked because because he is drowning in plain sight for the entire film. His girlfriend is pregnant, his parents have stopped paying attention. He idolizes Tony and cannot get 5 minutes of his time, and he keeps asking for help in ways that everyone around him is too distracted to hear. Miller plays him small and anxious, always at the edge of the frame, always waiting for someone to turn around. His story ends on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and it is the moment the film stops being about dancing at all. The years right after Saturday Night Fever were remarkable for Miller. He played Ralph Garcia in Fame in 1980, starred in The Chosen, and in 1985 he won a Tony Award for Biloxi Blues. He continued working through the 1980s and 1990s and then gradually stepped away. He logged his last screen credit in the mid-2000s and has remained largely private since, surfacing briefly in 2020 to write a tribute to his Fame director, Alan Parker. Today he is 68. Bobby C. endures because Miller made desperation quiet, ignored, and unbearable to watch a second time. Stephanie Mangano is the woman Tony wants to become, someone who is leaving Bay Ridge on purpose, played by Lynn Gorney, born on January 28, 1945 in New York City. She was 32 when the film was released in 1977. Stephanie worked because she is not actually the sophisticated woman she performs. She name drops, she corrects Tony's grammar, she talks about a Manhattan life she has barely started, and the film is smart enough to know she is bluffing. Underneath it is a young woman terrified of ending up back where she came from. Gorney plays her with a brittle precision that makes the pretending visible. She studied drama at Carnegie Tech and prepared for the role by writing Brooklyn accents down phonetically, breaking apart the vowel sounds and consonants, and spending time with young people from the neighborhood until she had it right. Then, after starring in the biggest film of the year, she did something almost nobody does. She stepped away. Gorney took a long sabbatical from acting and managed an art gallery in Manhattan. She has painted since childhood and still exhibits and sells her work. She returned to acting in the 1990s and has worked steadily since across television, film, and stage, appearing as recently as 2025 in the series Dying for Sex. She has also released several albums as a singer. Today, she is 81. Stephanie endures because Gorney made ambition fragile, defensive, and quietly brave. Tony Manero is the center of Saturday Night Fever, a young man with one talent and no idea what to do with the rest of his life. Played by John Travolta, born on February 18, 1954 in Englewood, New Jersey. He was 23 when the film was released in 1977. Tony worked because Travolta never asks the audience to like him. Tony is careless with the people who love him, dismissive of his family, casually cruel to Annette, and completely lost outside of the 2 hours a week when he is the best dancer in the room. The film gives him no triumph. It ends with him apologizing. Travolta trained for months and performed all of his own dancing, and the opening walk down the Brooklyn sidewalk became one of the most imitated shots in film history. He was already famous from Welcome Back, Cotter, and the crowds in Brooklyn were so overwhelming that production shut down on the first day and moved to filming overnight. The performance earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor at 23. What followed was one of the strangest careers in Hollywood. Grease arrived the next year. The 1980s brought a long slide out of favor, and then Pulp Fiction in 1994 delivered one of the great comebacks in film history, followed by Get Shorty, Face Off, and Hairspray. He continues to work regularly, with recent films including Cash Out and High Rollers. Off-screen, he has faced real loss, including the death of his wife, Kelly Preston, in 2020. Today he is 72. Tony Manero endures because Travolta made emptiness magnetic, restless, and unforgettable under the lights. The music may have stopped, but Saturday Night Fever still lives in every white suit, every mirror ball, and every walk down a city sidewalk with somewhere better in mind through Tony's restless ambition, Stephanie's borrowed sophistication, Annette's quiet heartbreak, Bobby C's unanswered pleas, Fusco's hard-earned advice, and the delicious voice calling out from the DJ booth. The film captured a decade at the exact moment it was ending. Some cast members are still with us, while others have sadly taken their final bow. But that Saturday night in Brooklyn remains unforgettable. Which Saturday Night Fever character do you remember most? Comment below, like, subscribe, and join us again on FameTube Studio. Cheers.